Good morning. Let's all be peaceful. Namaste. This is one of those videos where it's kind of like a Mazzy comp, as I called it in the past. I don't know what else to call them, but I pieced together a lot of little bits and pieces of things that didn't fit on other albums, like B-sides, A-sides, outtakes, demos, thank you, shout-outs. That was Sunday morning, quiet, beautiful, gorgeous, crystal clear Sunday morning in Seattle. Blue skies, cool, crisp, quiet. We need to enjoy the moment. We need to enjoy our family and friends and vinyl community friends and just friends everywhere around the world. I could go on and pontificate like this all day, but I won't going to. I ain't going to. I can't even see. That's my problem. I've said this before. My brain is faster than my lips. So a lot of times I'm thinking all this stuff really fast and it doesn't come out, and I get a little dyslexic, and not to make fun about dyslexia. I'm gonna go turn the music down. This is actually, this came out 2 years ago, 2017 or 18. It's called the Film Scores and Original Orchestral, see, I can't talk, music by George Martin. So obviously this is the Berlin Music Ensemble conducted by Craig Leon, and you'll recognize this from Pepperland Suite, which is side 2 of the Beatles' Yellow Submarine from the soundtrack. I love the George Martin side. Everyone, you people that don't play side 2 of Yellow Submarine of the original, you're wrong. You're just wrong. It's gorgeous music. I loved it when it came out, the time it came out. It's not Beatles, but it's a soundtrack. You know what a friggin' soundtrack is? Like American Hard Day's Night, American Help? They're soundtracks. Okay, let's turn this thing down. All right, I want to do a few thank yous and shout outs. First, DJ Trish. DJ Trish had inboxed me wanting my address a while ago. It's funny, people contact you in different places. Maybe if they find your email, and I have a website so you can figure that out, which is my business website, and my email address is there. I also have an Instagram page, Mazzy's Music, so follow me on Instagram. Some people, anyway, eventually it gets to you, I guess. But DJ Trish, what a sweetheart, and what a wonderful person in the vinyl community here. And this is not, that's from something else. So she sent me a beautiful note. DJ Trish, she discovered my channel last fall before my cataract surgery. Whack-A-Mole helped me laugh and still do, but at the time I was feeling a tad worried, and watching your Whack-A-Moles cheered me up. Anyway, she made this mix. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I hope you enjoy the music, stickers, and newsletter. I look forward to hearing how you enjoy the contents. I usually play CDs in my car, and I will here too. So I haven't listened to anything yet. I've been overwhelmed like everyone else. Of course, I've been making a lot of videos, so I do have time. So I will listen to these. Trish picks number 1 and number 2 for 2019. Oh, Osibisa is on here. Okay, I see Osibisa. Now, people call it Osibisa. The reason I know that, or at least the reason I say that, because way back in the day, I was in San Diego on a summer vacation with my family. I was 15, 16, whatever. I think, anyway, 17, between 16 and 17. And we were in San Diego, and my buddy and I went to the sports arena there and went to see Three Dog Night. And I saw Osibisa open up for Three Dog Night. And I had seen the record, that first record, the Roger Dean cover. I wish I still had it, so that's kind of cool. There's an Anyway, they started to sing Asibisa, Asibisa, African band. So that's how they pronounced it. Asibisa, 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 Asibisa. Now, Osibisa, whatever. Jonas Brothers, oh, King Cole Trio, Hit That Jive Jack, oh, Deodato, Baubles, Bangles, and Bees. I love that song. I have various versions of that song. Sinatra is one of them. Sinatra and Gilberto, I think. Is it, or Jobim, that's what it is. Anyway, I'm looking forward to this, Trish. Thank you so much. It's so sweet, and you're a darling. I'm sorry I don't like to open up packages for everyone, but whatever. Here's my address. You can free if you figure it out. Whatever. I'm in the book, as they say. But thank you. Another one is William from Washington has sent me some things, and he drives across country for work, and he picks up records, and he's not too far from me, or at least a few hours from me in Washington State, and has sent me records in the past, blues things. He's asked, if I'm looking for stuff, and I feel bad because I don't have any extra shit to send anybody, but he knows I love Josh White, and he sent me some Josh White things last time, and I just got these. I showed a whole package, end of last year, that he sent me on one of my videos. I don't know where to put these kind of things. But Josh White, Volume 1, I just listened to this finally last night. It's beautiful. ABC Paramount, what surprised me, is produced by Creed Taylor. Creed Taylor from all jazz producer, and then CTI was his label. If you don't know, he's my favorite of the blues thing, but he's more blues, folk blues, country blues, country folk country blues. Who's got a really kind of beautiful voice. He's not kind of down and gritty like Muddy Waters or those blues guys singing like that. It's very folky. He was an artist who got screwed too by the communist Red Scare in the 50s, the McCarthy hearings and all that. He was also an actor, an activist, but he was blacklisted, which is kind of bullshit, that whole thing. Kind of like these lists that certain people put together. If you don't agree with America the way we think America should be, you shouldn't live here. You don't like it, leave it. Give me a break. We love it, but we get to protest. Now, I digress, because that's what I do. Another one he sent me was this one. I haven't heard this one yet. Archive of Folk Music, Josh White. And I didn't even know. Josh White Jr., I didn't know there was I didn't know his son was a musician. So it looks like this is a promotion copy, stolen from WCBH. Anyway, seems like folk, probably more the same of his father, but we'll check it out. But thank you, William. Is it Bill or William? But thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I kind of showed this already, but I'll just give a last shout out again to Jeff Kempen, because I won his contest. It was a couple Sundays ago, and he let me pick out something from my wish list, and I picked out the very first Shins album, which is amazing. I mean, at the time, it was a game changer. I didn't know about this one. I had their third and fourth. I mean, I knew about it, but I just never listened to it. And my friend, the archivist, told me I should get it. So I've been playing this a lot. And again, it's that kind of early 90s. Like, it reminds me of, I said this before, it reminds me of that Brit band, I'll think of it in a second. You can watch the other video. But anyway, Jeff, again, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So many contests. I don't want to enter anymore, because the next day after that day, I won again from, let me see here. There's our list here. I won Elliott Cruz contest. So I won 2 in a row. So I'm a winner this month. And he did a couple of things. He did a donation to music makers. And this is a relief foundation for musicians in need. And they're based in North Carolina. And what a great thing to donate for music and help artists, help themselves in a way and make music. But in addition to a donation in the name of the vinyl community, thank you, Elliot, and anybody who should check this out. Now I know a lot of people are asking for donations. It's a rough time right now, but when you have something to donate, this is looks like it's a wonderful foundation to donate to. Music Makers Relief Foundation, established 1994. But I got 2 pieces of music yet. Again, I haven't listened to it. This is a CD comp. It's Music Makers with Taj Mahal. I love Taj Mahal. He lived in the Bay Area for a long time. I used to see him back in the 70s a lot. He also was going to start and play a lot with Ry Cooder, so that's where I kind of got to know him. But this looks like this is a combination of some of the music, some of the musicians involved with Music Makers, along with Taj Mahal. I'll check this out soon. And this album I have never heard of, Robert Finley. Looks like another musician that on Hard Times. It says he joined the army at 17, diagnosed with glaucoma, and that his eyesight will continue to degenerate until he becomes blind. So the foundation helped him make this record. So they're helping artists hopefully still play and perform, or at least make recordings. And it looks like they have events. I kind of went through this a little bit. So again, Elliot, thank you. You know, this is into all our hearts. This kind of stuff is the good stuff. And this is part of what the community means, vinyl community. And don't you all love when Mazzy gets serious for a change? But I do mean it, you know, as my people say, verklempt. So there's going to be a couple of things. I got a bunch of new finds or jazz things, and pretty much all these I had pre-ordered. A couple of these I think I showed, and these are things these are all Blue Note or Blue Note related. Music Matters Jazz, Blue Note 80, and Tone Poet. I'll just go through them really fast. Lee Morgan, Search for the New Land. What a one of his greatest records. And I haven't had a good copy. I've never had a copy of this on vinyl. This is Music Matters Jazz, their SRX series, and pricey, but they're already sold out, and I had to get it now because I know I'll never get it if I don't get it. So they're releasing 2 a month for the next few months of different releases. A wonky schedule, and it's kind of wonky the way they're selling them, only direct, but amazing record. And it's got, you know, the obvious tipped on covers, beautiful photographs from the archives. Francis Wolff photographs, so great record. And this record, I'd never heard, or I heard a couple cuts, but Soul Station, Hank Mobley with Art Blakey, Wynton Kelly, and Paul Chad. This blew me away. Really kind of, I mean, gorgeous record, a little funky, but not that 70s funk thing that we all knew again. But what a great record. Oh God, I blasted this last night, Saturday night. Soul Station, a top record. And then a couple of Tone Poets. I kind of probably showed these a little bit, but Nigeria, Grant Green, nice record. Stanley Turrentine, Coming Your Way. And to me, the best out of all of them, and I forgot. Poppin'. Some of these were delayed because of printing and distribution errors, so they all came out on the same time. I pre-ordered them last year, and they all arrived about 2 weeks ago. Poppin' by Hank Mobley. So a lot of Hank Mobley. I mean, great stuff. But this is the one. This was originally on Pacific Jazz, and he's not for everybody. But if I would say this is the one to get if you want something a little different, and it's kind of like sexy night music. And I did show it, but I'm including in this because I reiterate, it's so gorgeous. Listen to it on YouTube first to see if you like his voice, his whispering voice. A trumpet player, he's not a singer in the traditional sense, but he's like sexy, and it's just a gorgeous record, amazing quiet pressing. So this was Chet Baker Sings, and I can't recommend this enough for anybody that likes. It's not like anything else here, and it's not that it's out there, but it's that kind of voice. If you don't like it, you're not going to like the music. You're not going to like the record. But this is the kind of thing that, 98% of people who listen to that record with a person from the opposite or same sex will get lucky. before you flip the record to side 2. That's a fact, and it's on Wikipedia, so it must be true. And then the latest BN80. BN80, I think, has 2 more months to go, the Blue Note 80 series. Then the series is ending. So there, oh, by the way, a little fun fact. Go to the Blue Note website right now. This is the 15th of March, 2020. So if you're watching this 5 years from now, never mind. The Blue Note website right now, 30% off. 30% off. And if you just combine your orders, even if they're pre-orders, shipping is free. 30% off. So the Blue Note 80s are like $17, $18 instead of $24. So this is, I just got this Friday, Art Taylor. It's friggin' great. It's really, really great. So Bill at the Vinylverse, Blue Note, Blue Note website. Go to the Blue Note website, 30% off. Get your orders in right now. So that's the part of this video. Again, I'm mixing a few little sections up. I'll do a little interlude here, and there'll be a couple other little things totally, completely different on the other side of this. This segment is, I like to put things in packages. I like to put things and organize. That's the organizing side of me. And I did get a text last night from the archivist, and she texted me that Genesis, okay, I said Genesis. Bill, Vinylverse, are you excited? Genesis. Peorage, Genesis Peorage, not that Genesis, Bill, sorry, died yesterday. And a lot of you may not know the name. I don't know a lot of his later career. What I do know is that he was a founding member of the industrial avant-garde noise band Throbbing Gristle. He/she transitioned in the 2000s. He was part of another organization, band, artist, collective in a way called Psychic TV. And I did not follow them, so hopefully someone will do a profile on Genesis, on that Genesis. And I'm not gonna go there. However, I decided, because I saw them on their very last show before they broke up. They did regroup in the 2000s, but they played at a place called Kaiser Pavilion in San Francisco. I think it was 81, and then they broke up after that, you know, internal group relationships and everything. I actually started reading last year, and I'm only halfway through it, the autobiography of Cosi fan tutti. So at the tail end, I'll talk a little more about this band, but it gave me an idea to do the bands that broke up in San Francisco. The San Francisco ended bands. I don't know if that's, I'm sure you could find other cities that are bands that lived in a city and just moved on from there, but I'm showing 5 bands here that almost ended their careers after playing in San Francisco. Now, there are 2 exceptions. They just stopped touring on one, and then one was their last performance in San Francisco, which is actually Oakland. I know Oakland is not San Francisco for you East Bayers, but it's right across the bridge, so I'm gonna say the Bay Area if I expand a little bit. I saw all of these shows, except for the one that I would have traded all the other shows for. The first one being August 29th, 1966, and I did say it in a whole other story. The only thing I'll say is on Monday night, August 29th, 1966, my friend Danny rang the doorbell around 5 o'clock saying, hey, my dad got tickets to see the Beatles tonight at Candlestick Park. If your mom or parent or father can drive us, we can go. My mother came to the door. I said, can I go? I was 66, so it was August 29th. I just had my birthday. I was 12 years old. And she says, no, you have a drum lesson tonight at 7 o'clock. If you don't cancel your drum lesson within 24 hours, we have to pay for it. You can go next year. Well, if you know the rest of the story, you'll know. Anyway, so the Beatles played their last live show. Of course, they continued with making some of their greatest music beyond that, but that was their last live show aside from the rooftop concert on Savile Row. So I'm just showing these. These are not that tour, but this is a 64, 65. I mean, this is 65 tapes from the 64, 65 from the Hollywood Bowl, and then the later music from the soundtrack, 8 Days a Week. That was interesting. You know, I'm a fan. I think it could have been more interesting. I don't know if Ron Howard was the appropriate documentarian to do this, but of course I enjoyed it. Despite some of the bitching people had about, oh, this is a color shot, or this, they looped this sound from that concert, and you know, okay, it was entertainment. I look at it like that. I don't get all wonky about the history of that in the proper way, but it was very enjoyable. I saw it 3 times. I have the Blu-ray. So the Beatles, and then after that they split up. They didn't split up. I'm sorry. They stopped touring. So San Francisco ended them. Then in 1976, was it 76 or 77? 76, I believe. In 77, the soundtrack came out. Was The Last Waltz. The band at Winterland. I attended this concert. It was one of the top 5 probably concerts I ever attended. It was on Thanksgiving of that year. It included a Thanksgiving turkey dinner for 5,000 people. Bill Graham produced it at Winterland, which I went so many times throughout the 70s. I went to probably more shows at Winterland than any other venue, and it was an old ice skating rink. On my blog, Manhattan blog, there's a whole thing of all the shows I saw at, maybe I'll include that down here if I remember. If I don't, sorry. But you know it, I don't have to tell you, the Scorsese documentary film, concert film, you've seen this, an amazing, amazing show. That was 76 in the, yeah, 76. And then 77, the soundtrack, 78, the soundtrack came out. I know that for a fact. So anyway, the band split up, and of course, there was a later version of the band without Robbie Robertson, but you know, that's when the actual band split up. The other one that split up in San Francisco ceased to be the Sex Pistols. My girlfriend at the time worked for KSAN Radio, who broadcasted it. I can't remember if it was the night of the show or the night before. Sid Vicious came to the station, and I was amongst maybe 12, 15 people in the control room when Sid Vicious was there. So I was in a room with Sid Vicious, and it was like totally wonky at one point. I think it was before the show. I don't remember now. And then did a call in another version, and it was like censored. And I was home, and I called in. So I think it was on twice. I don't remember all the details. They were terrible. Terrible show. But I liked being there, and it just, they weren't very good. I mean, it's a band live, at least that time, and I've heard other people say differently, but for my opinion, this is my original UK copy of that. So there you go. And just to show something else, when I went to Europe in 1980 working on the Beatle book, I did see this Julian Temple film, The Great Rock and Roll Swindle of the Sex Pistols. I think in Leicester Square. Oh, no, was it Leicester Square? I don't know. There's a picture in my book of it. So any of you have the Beatles England, you can see a picture. I think it says, it's because it's one of the venues I believe the Beatles played. So this is kind of a cool record. This is a UK. I bought it when it came out. So whenever this came out, I don't remember. Oh, 1980, 79. 1979 Virgin Records. I probably bought this in the UK when I was there in '80, so bought it that year. Then, although they didn't split up and they didn't stop touring totally, and they made more records, Led Zeppelin. I'm showing this album. This album came out in 76, I believe, or 77, 76. And 77, they played 2 shows at Oakland Coliseum. I think the Day Is on the Green. And I went to both concerts, so I saw them 2 in a row. I did see them at Kezar Stadium, so I saw Led Zeppelin 3 times. Once in San Francisco, twice in Oakland, 2 days in a row. After that, they never performed in America. They did tour Britain and around the world or other countries in Europe, but that was their last American show ever that I attended. So I'm putting that in because Maslov cheats, and I can bend the rules because it's my video, so it's my channel. So this was the show, one of the 2 shows where there was a big fight with Bill Graham, who produced it. I was on the side of the stage. It wasn't backstage, but there were VIPs section or press and record people. We couldn't be in the section with the band and the management and the family of Led Zeppelin. We were in another side area where there was radio people, record people, because my girlfriend was at KSAN Radio, and we got in tickets through that. And great show. I was never the hugest Led Zeppelin fan. My favorite album of theirs still is their first album. I think nothing touches it, for me personally. But that was a great show. But Bill Graham had a fight with the manager of Led Zeppelin. There's a big brouhaha. And right after that, I believe, is that next day or next couple of days is when Robert Plant's son died, and the rest of the tour was canceled. So even if you look at a discog or a tourography, is that what you call it, a tourography of that? It'll show like 3 or 4 more cities that were canceled. So Oakland became the last show, the last American show ever for Led Zeppelin. So I'm going to show this. So again, the Bay Area. Now, the reason this whole thing started was because of Genesis, Peorage, and Throbbing Gristle. In the background, I'm playing 20 jazz funk greats. Now, if you look at these 2 records, and you just buy them in the store and just casually pick them up, you're not gonna, unless you're into this kind of music, you're just gonna say, what the fuck is that? Obviously a beautiful parody of the Martin Denny Exotica record. This is not a greatest hits by any stretch of the imagination, and that is Cossie Fanny Tootie. That's her synonym, who was the iconic musician, singer, pornographer, stripper, industrialist of Throbbing Gristle. Now, they played at the Kezar Pavilion in San Francisco, and they split up. They did regroup again in the 2000s, but in honor of this Rough Trade number 25, in honor of Genesis 21, I'm sorry, 23, can't read anymore. I got these records in 79 and 80, 81, I guess, as they came out, because they were out there. Throbbing Gristle, I want someone to do a whole thing on Throbbing Gristle and Genesis and Cossie and the whole thing and that whole genre. And maybe there is one pointing me in the right direction, because it interests me. I'm not an expert at their thing by any stretch of imagination, but Throbbing Gristle is considered sort of the, I don't want to say the inventor, but the godfather, or in the premium early adopters, or of industrial music, of noise, of avant-garde, of electronic. In that sense, they were conceptual art. They were, in a way, pornographers. I don't want to say in a good way. That sounds kind of strange, right? But in her autobiography, that's an early picture, 1969, of her and Genesis. Some other pictures I can't show because it wouldn't be appropriate for. Anyway, interesting book. I need to finish this off. But their music is out there. But the performance, I remember, there was striptease and noise and tape loops and electronics and ambient, and it was the kind of thing at that time. I loved that kind of stuff live. And even though I got these records, I hardly played them. So again, my records are pristine. I play them now and I appreciate them more now because it's got an ambient feeling. You know, it's in the background. Probably you can't really listen to it or hear it a lot right now. But I just wanted to say, it's really interesting stuff. It's inventive, creative, and my hat's off to Genesis and Jen. Him, he, she, that's how he, she preferred to be referred to, considered herself a third gender. So that's this little section is overview of 5 bands that ended their live shows in San Francisco, for the most part, with a few creative whatever. So if there's ever a trivia contest about what bands broke up in San Francisco or stopped touring in San Francisco, now you know the answers. Throbbing, Gristle, Sex Pistols, the Beatles, and the band. And then Led Zeppelin. I know I stretched that one. But just to close out, a guy I knew, Eric Lefkowitz, wrote this book, and he used pictures of Jim Marshall. He has some footage, I believe, and it's called Tomorrow Never Knows, The Beatles' Last Concert. There's a paperback version of this, a couple different variations of this. This was put out back in the 80s. Let's see what that was their last concert. But these are photographs by the late Jim Marshall, photographer. I've done profiles on him. I knew Jim Marshall for about 25, 30 years or so, up until his death about, 10, 11 years ago. I follow his books. This is backstage Candlestick Park with the great music critic Ralph J. Gleason, John Lennon. I have a signed print of Jim Marshall of the John Lennon side. He does a crop of that with John Lennon backstage at Candlestick Park with the garbage can, and I bought it from him years ago. Cool picture of backstage of Joan Baez with George Harrison. And of course some amazing concert pictures that probably a lot of you maybe have seen. Cold Monday night in San Francisco at the Stick. They were bored, they were, this is in San Francisco press conference. Anyway, the Beatles left in a armored truck. How bizarre is that? So KYA presented the Beatles. KYA Radio presented the Beatles, Candlestick Park, 1966. And that's my mixtape video here. Mazzy loves you. Thanks for watching. And, hang in there. Play music. Mazzy loves you.